full council meeting of Candle Town Council. This is the meeting on the 16th of June 2026 for those watching live. So the first agenda item is 2624, apologies for absence. 262401 to receive apologies of absence, which are, and there's quite a list, Councillors Chappell, Chesser, Clark, Fuller, Gilbert, Osborne. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. Are we happy to receive those, accept those apologies for absence? All those in favour? Thank you very much. Then that takes us on to 2625, declarations of interest. To receive and consider any declaration of interest from members and officers under Section 50 of the Local Government Act 2000, Standing Order 35. First of all, any disclosable pecuniary interests? No. Other interests? No. Any requests of dispensation? No. In which case then we can, and also, any gifts or hospitality accepted over the value of £50. And lastly, any inappropriate gifts or hospitality offered? No. In which case, thank you very much. That takes us on to 262601, a proposition to approve and sign the minutes of the annual full council meeting held on the 19th of May 2026 as an accurate record. Again, I'm going to pause in case anybody wishes to comment at all about those minutes. In which case, do I have a proposer? Councillor Green, seconder. Councillor Gray, all those in favour? Thank you very much. I will sign those for you. Here. They're quite long.
The 16th.
They're ready for you later on. So that takes us on to 2627, public participation from interested parties. I don't believe we have any, in which case we can move on to 2628, consideration of requests from interested parties. And again, that means that we can move on to 2629, town matters. To receive a report concerning the annual town meeting and consider any feedback about the new format and whether the use of this format may be for future years. Happy to take suggestions. I'll just kick off. Personally, I think it actually worked very well, and I think we should thank the town clerk and her staff for all the work that they put in behind the scenes to make this thing happen every year. I think moving to a Saturday, certainly we had a good crowd there. It was well received. I think also having the stalls that we had both in the foyer and in the hall itself seemed to be a good innovation that was received quite well by the public. The only change I would recommend we make moving forward, if we do wish to keep to a Saturday, and obviously we don't necessarily need to make that, well, we won't be making that decision here now, is that if you remember, we had quite a long time when the hall was open, where people came in, they could go around the stalls, they could talk to councillors and other representative parties that were there. And then we had a formal presentation Q&A. I would actually switch it round and start with the presentation so that then people can mingle and talk afterwards. I think a lot of people came, well certainly 2 or 3 people that spoke to me came expecting there to be a presentation straight away. I was wondering a little bit what was going on. So I will potentially turn it round. That would also potentially give more time for Q&A. And you could then use the Q&A to say, go and talk to so-and-so, if you see what I mean, outside of the formal meeting. So that's the one observation I have, and I'm more than happy to take, the other thing I should say is thank all of those councillors that attended. I realise not all of us could be there, but we had a good turnout of councillors. So thank you all for that, giving it on Saturday morning. But floor's open. Is that, yes, John?
So I apologise, not been there until in Scotland.
Oh, you were there in spirit.
Mhm.
You voiced your views.
Well, I voiced something. So I have 3 questions really. 2 questions, 1 invitation. You said the general feedback from attendees, which is positive, great. I was just turning it around for lots and lots of reasons. Do we distribute feedback when you talk about doing that?
We had those little cards. Yeah, I had 4 back.
And they provided the insight.
Not really. Some of it was sort of, about keeping areas tidy and picking litter up and things like that. The comments that there was one comment about maybe reducing, because we'd set aside 2 hours at the beginning.
Yeah.
Somebody suggested cutting that down to 1 hour to allow more time for the presentation, because, and it used to be like this on a Thursday night, you'd get to the Q&A bit and there'd be quite a lot of questions, and then questions would come out of answers from questions. So I think turning it round, yeah.
So two points. One, 45 I thought was a bit low in the actual meeting itself. I guess that's because people came early and had their questions answered. That's interesting. Staunch, we've got them later on 26:35. They were there specifically, I remember, to allow councillors to get some sense from townsfolk as to what they thought about in relation to Staunch. There's no proposal here, so therefore it can't be put tonight or discussed tonight. But did councillors generally, those who attended, get any discussions going with attendees about Staunch? Or
I can't speak for individual councillors. I spoke to them. I assume, well, we've got an agenda item. They clearly were pleased to be asked. They clearly had quite a bit of engagement with public members who were there. I just refer you to their letter. I think they were very pleased to be there.
Part of the reason they invited you was to get a sense of whether the town would support a donation. Was that raised more during the meeting?
We did talk. I talked to 1 or 2 people. As with everything, you've got people. Oh, yeah, I didn't realise that, and all the rest of it. You other people said, yeah, but that's not us. So it was the classic dilemma as we discussed in this council. So I didn't get a sense of yes, we want to do it, and well, me, or the other way around. So it was kind of neutral.
Are we still on with you, John?
No.
Anybody else?
I just want to ask, in terms of attendance, did you notice it was better patronised or worse than the evening?
I thought it was similar to the Thursday.
I did a rough count and it was very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar to.
Any feedback on that? Anybody say, oh, it's great in the day?
The only feedback I heard, which is completely valid, is holding it on a Saturday meant that local businesses found it difficult to
Mm.
attend, which I think is a valid point. And it may be that we can address that by engaging with OBA, both in the lead up to ask them whether they've got things they would like to bring forward to the town meeting. So I think there are different ways of addressing that. And the good thing, although people, certainly I had a couple of people say, oh, you know, Saturday morning, local businesses. And indeed, of course, one of our own councillors couldn't be there because well, two of them couldn't be there because they were managing their own local businesses. But I think there are ways of addressing it. And again, my memory from previous Thursday evenings, it's not as though local businesses come to those either. So, you know, I think it's something that we need to look at, definitely.
But
Sorry.
just the one thing that I noticed was that we did get the similar people
Yeah.
that come. We didn't get any, you know,
You know,
we didn't get any different people. We didn't get any younger people. We got the sort of normal people that come.
it seemed more relaxed to me somehow. I don't know whether or not that's a valid comment.
Yeah, probably because people had a chance to just sit around and chat beforehand.
Yeah.
I know some people felt they were sitting around for a long time,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was a bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. It did feel more relaxed.
Mm.
They're the same people were there as previous year. Demographics were commented on, the questions, beyond shifting the engagement,
Yeah.
moving it to something that you can't solve out by itself. I know this year we were forced to have it in the very last day, but we were required to do,
Mm.
and it might be better if we're going to stick on Saturday to do it on a farmer's market day or that.
Yes, I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
if we do want to go for Saturday, we might have to plan it slightly more in advance than we managed to do this. Well, that was down last year. So, any other comments? Otherwise, we have received this.
Just one quickly.
Yes,
Is there any more that can be done to promote the meeting in as much as, you know, same people come? Is it just that the same people are interested and a lot of the town aren't interested? Or is it that we're not reaching?
I think, to be honest, I'll let the town clerk try.
It's probably a bit of both. You know, there are people that come to the annual town meeting every year. You know, the same people that I've seen every year since I've been here. We advertise. We only advertise it, you know, through our website, social media, and the electronic notice boards and posters as well. But and people do get. A lot of the organisations get a personal invite just to say, you know, it's on.
All I would add to that is that we do now have a marketing committee.
Well, that's what I was
And,
going to suggest, actually.
let me hope that the marketing committee will think about this. I'm quite sure they will, in order to help the town clerk and their staff promote it next year.
Yes, if I can just comment on that. We're just starting the social media agency, even though they haven't officially started, they were there. And they did a whole series of interviews, talked to a lot of people, took a lot of photographs. They've already started pushing out the social media on the community awards, etc. That's already gone out all with media. Moving forward, there's going to be a general strategy set up, so there will be communication well in advance of meetings such as the annual meeting to start driving communities and also being targeted to certain age groups that we want to try
Yeah,
and do as well.
that's the thing, isn't it? Getting younger people interested. Okay, thanks.
Okay, well, I'm going to move us on because we've got quite a few agenda items to get through. Excuse me. Can I just get a glass of water? The next agenda item is town matters, and the first of which you will see is the report from the mayor. I'm sure you've all read my report. Actually, there isn't a written report from the mayor. The verbal report is really quite short and succinct, and that is the mayor hasn't got very much to report since our last full council meeting. Primarily helping the town clerk to organise the town meeting, the annual meeting, which we've already just discussed. I won't say anything more about that. I will say something about a meeting that the town clerk and I had that is due to come up under another agenda item. But beyond that, I've primarily actually been either accepting or declining requests to do other things. And Mike has actually, as deputy mayor, has stepped in and picked up a number of the events that I can't go to. But you will hear about that since they've not happened in the future report. So if you're all happy with that, I will now move on to the parks report. This is 26/30/02. Over to you, Emma. Any
Well,
questions?
if there's any questions.
Any questions, John?
So in May, we agreed to have a strategic review. It's not on the parts list of things to do. I don't know if that's because something's been action that I haven't heard about, or it's been bitted, and if that's the case, can it be as an action item because the proposal was agreed last month.
Sorry, I misunderstood then. I thought that was going to be annually.
Yes, but it's an action point. that needs
Okay.
to be, included that we need to get the lesson.
Any other questions to the town clerk? No? In which case I will move on to 26/30/03 to approve the asset register for 2026. James, would you like to say anything about this, since you've been very instrumental in getting it to this stage, for which thanks and congratulations.
Just as at the finance meeting, this is the clerk's asset register. I all the work that's gone into it, and I commend it to the council.
Let's take you first, Mike, and then I'll move to John.
Just one thing, the drill hall car park, is that an asset of the town? Because I can't see it on the register.
It is an asset. As of the end of year accounts and the internal auditor, this is the asset register that was put forward. So this is the one I'm asking you to approve now, which I should have brought along in May for approval. I know you were talking about pockets of land and things. I don't know the values of those. I don't know how much or when the drill hall was purchased, how much that was purchased for, but they could certainly be looked at, added for future lists.
So it wasn't on last year's, it not just dropped off. It's
No.
never been on there.
Never been on.
Okay.
No, not as long as I've been here, it's never been on. Neither have all the pieces of land.
And just to clarify, certainly it's my understanding that this is a rolling document anyway. John?
Market license, I probably see it's probably there before I don't lose it for £30,000. What do we pay £30,000 for?
That is a historic value of the market license that has been on, again, on this asset register for years. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's just relating to
That the value of it at the time, I don't know when the license was, when we received the license.
Still has a-
Yeah.
Should it not be related to the income we generate from the market?
I don't know. It's
No, no,
quite significant.
no.
So I don't know how it's been valued. I don't know
No.
what the value
I'll
is.
be honest with you, I don't either.
So I wonder if we should have it on too.
Sorry?
I wonder if it should be on at all. If we don't know what the value is,
Well-
we don't know how it's been valued. And I can't see any value in it.
If it's I mean, I'll look into it. If it's an asset that's on there, I mean, obviously removing it, I can look into removing it, but I'll just see what the implications of that would be. But again, like I say, it's been on there for some considerable time.
Okay, any other questions in which we've been asked to approve this? So do I have a proposer for James? Second, please. Mike, all those in favour? Thank you very much. Let's move forward to 26/30/04 to receive an update. Buildings Value Working Party. Mike, your floor is yours.
Well, I included the update because I wasn't here at the full town meeting last time on holiday. And there were a few questions. I saw it on video about what the names was and why it came about and what it had done. So it's just really a summary of how it came about and what it has done to date. So if there's any questions, you'll be very welcome to ask.
So any questions tonight on this? No, in which case I think we just thank you for what you've done so far. We know that it's ongoing, so we will receive further updates and maybe recommendations in the future. So thank you very much. In which case then the next agenda item is 26/30/05, received a letter from Staunch, which we've mentioned before in connection to the annual town meeting. We're purely receiving it. Does anybody wish to comment on that at all?
Want to understand, to go back to the previous point about feedback from the open meeting, whether we're any clearer as to our positions to the next tournament. We were hoping to have some sort of consensus at this point as to our comfort levels and engaging further.
I don't think our position has changed in the sense that we, as we've discussed it at previous meetings, we tacitly support them. Yet we made a decision not that we didn't think it was appropriate to actually make a financial contribution. All we're doing is receiving this here. If we at some stage receive a proposal to make that contribution, then we can obviously discuss that. But at the moment, all we're doing is receiving their letter. So
Can I just ask, there's a point in there where it asks us to actively promote
yes,
and put it on our website. I mean, is that
yes.
agreed? Should we discuss it?
I
here?
picked that
Or is
up
it in the-
when we received the letter, and in fact I emailed the town clerk pointing that out. It was my view, and I think it's a view shared by the town clerk, we probably couldn't do that for the simple reason that if we start promoting the activities of third parties, we'll be inundated. Where do you draw the line? If
Absolutely.
you see what I mean.
Yeah,
So
completely agree.
in the absence admittedly of the discussion of this council, I recommended to the town clerk that we probably couldn't do that. I don't know if you want to comment on that.
No, but I spoke to a fellow clerk the other day and we just started talking about this, and she had had a similar thing come to her council. And when she spoke to Danny Moody about it, he actually, he said, you're better off not giving money to a pressure group, because where do you draw the line? Where do you stop? Once they've had an amount of money, but then they need more. They haven't got enough money. Do they come back? And so she was going to send me a report that she then put to her council. So when I've got that, I'll have a look and just see.
Okay. Any other? We've just got this here for information to receive. If anybody ever wants to make a comment, in which case I will move on. Thank you very much. So we're now on 20/30/06 to approve the Freedom of Information Scheme. Again, Emma, you might want to
Yeah,
say a few words about this.
This was on last month's agenda, but there were quite a few references to the Oracle, which was the newsletter that we used to have. So I was asked to tidy it up, which I have, and I brought it back.
Questions, comments? In which case we are being asked to approve it. So do I have a proposer? James, do I have a seconder? John? Sorry, just beat you to it, Ian. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Which now takes us on to 26/31 financial matters. The first of which is 3101 to approve the bank reconciliation and balance sheet and budget for May 2026. The figures are there in front of you. Do I have a proposer for that? James, seconder. Mike, all those in favour? Thank you very much. 263102, payments are made 2026. The proposition is that the schedule of payments for May 2026 is presented at this item are paid up and that all related documentation and checks are signed. You're not proposing it, this is a question, James.
So, recognising that the work has been undertaken, the payment should be made. There is £900 in there for RPM for maintenance works at the recreation ground, which is in excess of the very low R&M budget, £500. And I endeavoured to find out whether that had been authorised in the previous financial year as a carryover, or whether it had been authorised this financial year, given that the works were undertaken this financial year, and couldn't find a clear mention in the minutes of it being approved by full council, given that it was in excess of budget. So firstly, an appeal to other councillors, perhaps with better memories than mine. Can you remember us approving it? And then, if we cannot, just a request that whenever we are discussing items or actions to be undertaken, that we have an equal responsibility with the clerk to ensure that only amounts within the budgets that have been set are approved. Because otherwise, it's no good us saying, oh yes, go and spend that £900 in committee, because no committee has the authority to exceed the budget. And so we just put the clerk in an invidious situation. So if any expenditure is going to take us over a budget for a budget line, it has to be a full council. And we just need to be
I'm going to suggest, John, is yours related to this? In which case,
That is true, but in our financial regulations, 5.18 does give the clerk the authority to spend money out of budget if she feels that it's necessary.
in an emergency.
Mm.
Was this an emergency?
Well, you could say all play equipment that has issues with it potentially should be done as soon as possible. Because if a child gets injured, no lawyer is going to sit down, or a judge, and say, oh, well, but they had to wait for it to go to full council for them to approve it. They will say, have you got the money? Why didn't you do it? And so this is what I have to think about.
And I absolutely support you in that position, and I agree with that point. However, in this particular case, the quotation that was taken up was in response to the engineering report from July last year and was dated July last year. So had we acted as an emergency at that point, I would be completely supportive.
But I wasn't aware of it then. I was only aware when I'd heard that it had got worse. It had been discussed at an estates committee, as have all of the other things that are on that report that are going to be quoted for, and they're going to be certainly in excess of, well, the tiny budget that has been put aside. And it was also agreed that that work should be done before the school holidays. Well, that's not going to happen now, because if that's got to wait and come to full council for approval, that's going to be towards the third week in July. the work's not going to be done until that money's approved. You know,
Just arguing the opposite case, and I support you in it. If so, given that we've got the engineering report for this year now that has identified actions, the prime usage time for the recreation ground equipment is summer holidays. It would seem a nonsense for us to put in any delay that takes us into the summer holidays. So I fully support you actioning this year's engineering report as an emergency. My question was around last year's engineering report and how we could.
Can I maybe answer that for you? So my memory is that the report of last year that you're referring to would have gone to the Estates Committee, and the Deputy Town Clerk, in talking to that report, pointed out, and again I'm doing this from memory, so please bear with me, that there was quite a long list of things that might be required, and she spoke to the company or whatever who made the report in order to identify those which they deemed as urgent and necessary, and those which were, shall we say, less urgent, but was more a kind of, this will need to be done at some stage. So we acted on that advice from the report writers, and essentially budgeted for the urgent required stuff. And now, of course, what's happened is that things on the secondary element of that list have risen to the top. That's my sorry.
But can I just say that we are only in sort of halfway through June, and we are in a very difficult position, both myself and the estates officer, deputy clerk, because we have next to no budget for R&M across our play areas, our buildings, and things are happening. You know, we're not going to get through the year, and there's going to be more things that are going to happen in the recreation ground. We are quite lucky; we don't get a lot of vandalism at the moment, but we've got summer holidays coming up. Who knows? Well, it was set at £500 for the recreation ground, and it's just too low.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was actually based on historic figures. I think the trouble is what we're now seeing is that a lot of work needs to be done. But I'm going to, if I may, I'm not sure, has this kind of addressed your issue, James?
Yes, because what I wanted to do was just raise it with us as members to make sure that we don't glibly think that by sitting here making a decision to just go off and do something, that the budget magically gets made bigger to allow for that, and that we have a responsibility to make decisions in light of budgets, just as the clerk has the obligation as the responsible finance officer to actually force us to live within the budget.
Yeah.
But to address the point about the R&M budgets, the R&M budget for the recreation ground, for example, is not £500. It is £500 for unscheduled, unforeseen repairs. There was an additional £2,500 to address the known repairs that were needed, and that has been spent on replacing the hinges and replacing the poly deck, which were the things that were listed on the bed. There was £24,000 worth of R&M that was taking place at the Joan Strong Centre. Not so the repair budget was pared back, but a specific known planned project was fully costed. And the same is true throughout. Where we have a costed thing, it's in there. What has been pared back is we didn't even consider that budget.
And we didn't consider it based on the July 25 report. I'm going to try and move this on.
Yeah, can I just make a point there,
Sorry.
actually? I'd like to pick you up on your terminology, actually, James, because I don't think anybody glibly
You're quite
with
right.
finances it's public money, least of all the cloth. So I think that was an unfortunate use of words.
I absolutely agree and apologise to the meeting here.
John, you've been waiting very patiently. Okay. Going back to the agenda item, we are being asked to approve this. So I think the point has been made about a concern. Those points have been addressed. So do I have a proposer? James, a seconder? Owen, all those in favour? Thank you very much. So we now move on to 263003, receive the minutes of the Finance and General Purposes Committee. It's on the 9th of June. The minutes are in front of you. Many of you around the table, or some of you, Mike and James, were here for that meeting. I'm sure we can answer questions if you have any. If not, I'm going to move straight to a proposal that we accept those minutes. Yes, in which case I will propose that those minutes. Do I have a second?
It's all right, we don't need to just receive them.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's all right. Getting ahead of myself. So we have received those. Sorry, yes, it's to receive, not to whatever. So that takes us on to 2632, highways matters. And again, we are receiving our usual speed report. Would anyone like to comment upon that? No, in which case then the next item, 2632.2, is to consider a request for an extension of the double yellow lines at Drummingwell Lane. It says approve, although we're only considering it, and of course, my understanding, unless I'm corrected by our town clerk, is that all we can do is refer it to NNC.
Yes, but NNC have spoken to the people that have raised it with them, that they need our support.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
approving that we
Yeah, no, I
we
get
support it or
that. I
don't.
just wanted
Yeah.
to make out that whatever we do here doesn't mean
No,
it's not
no,
it's
but
the point
they
we're trying to make.
it's a default now that
Yeah.
anybody that goes
So-
direct to
So
NNC.
the question
Point
really
that to us.
is whether or not we feel that we'd like to make that recommendation to NNC. James,
Is there a recommendation from the highways committee?
not that I'm aware.
Which highways committee?
Sorry, transport committee.
Oh, working
Transport
party.
working group. Yeah.
No, there
No,
isn't.
and
No.
They won't have met to consider this.
Yeah.
Considering.
I know Councillor Fairhall has been involved in it as well, and he has asked a few questions of NNC. And I mean, I think some of it was because there are some residential properties down the road, and he wanted to know whether they were having issues with their rubbish being collected. But he hadn't got that information back at the time. But it seems as if they just want to move it back 5
Yes,
meters.
if you look at the picture, because I'm talking to Mike about this, but this is clearly not the whole of the lane. It's a little bit at the top, sort of Milton Road end of the lane.
Mm.
Slightly larger than a normal vehicle, because obviously it's accommodating a refuse truck. It seems to me, I mean, I'm happy to propose it because it seems to me that it will alleviate, what is a problem. It won't impinge on local residents as far as I can see. The only thing is, it does take away yet another parking space within the close proximity of the town centre. So we've got to weigh up those two considerations.
I saw that, and I looked at that picture, and I thought it was a little odd, in so much as I witnessed the situation when the refuse lorry came to try and go down this road, and extending the yellow lines isn't going to make any difference at all. The lorry still isn't going to get down the road. So I don't see what advantage extending the yellow lines is going to make. We need something a bit more drastic than that to get that.
My understanding is I'll come to you in a minute, but I'll try and answer it and then come to you. My understanding is that because the yellow lines are relatively short, extending down Drummond Lane, if you have somebody parked right up to that yellow line, the bin man basically can't
get in.
down. This is essentially allowing them to get into Drummond, whatever lane, park there, go and get the bins and bring them back.
So you wouldn't that one done then if the refuse lorry was coming. I still don't.
I'm just explaining what my understanding is.
Again,
Yeah, I'm just going to say, why wouldn't you think that a vehicle, like a refuse truck, will get down there anyway if the lines were extended? Because surely they would, by the photo. And I know that road. And obviously, a refuse truck needs to get down there because there are quite a lot of houses at the end near the tollway that would need.
And again, it's only an assumption, is that my assumption is that if you've got parked cars, it physically can't get down there.
No,
It's not a very
exactly. So
wide
that's
lane.
why
Yeah.
I would support there would be
Yeah.
double lines down there. Personally, but.
I'm happy to propose it. Do I have a second? Councillor Adams, all those in favour? Looks unanimous. Thank you very much. So we will approve it and pass that on to NNC. Emma, thank you very much. That takes us on to 2633 planning matters to approve response to the NNC local plan consultation. In a sense, it's a shame that David isn't with us because he's been very involved in that. It's a shame he's not here to answer questions. I just want for clarification, we can't delay this.
It's got a fairly short deadline on it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I've got a feeling the planning meet. No, when to planning meet? The end of this month. Yeah, so they could meet to discuss it further. But I don't know if anybody's had a look at the briefing note that I included from NCalc, because obviously the consultation is massive, 50 odd questions. That's almost impossible for a group of people to sit round and answer all of them. So I don't know whether, I know he's gone through some of the questions, but I don't know what everybody thought about the briefing note.
Can I ask a question? Is David recommending that we approve this?
This is what he's put together for the consultation. The consultation ends in the beginning of July.
Yeah.
He wanted it to come to this meeting, even though he knew he wasn't here, for you to look at. But he did say that there's also a potential for it to go to the planning meeting if you felt that what was written there needed to be changed or amended.
But my question is he happy with what I've seen his response?
I think he's happy with what he's written, yeah.
My understanding, I've not spoken to David, but I should imagine that he's effectively saying, this is my recommendation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's clearly not going to change if it goes to planning meeting either.
Yes.
So
I'm happy to propose that based on the fact that David's done his response the way he has. He hasn't responded to the 58 questions, but I guess some of them are not
I
relevant.
know.
Yeah.
So the actual briefing note says don't ask for
Yeah.
Which is what he's done.
I know you proposed, but James has got a question.
Can I extend the proposal slightly that we approve what has been shown to us and and support David making any further amendments that he considers fit between now and the end of the consultation period.
I think that is a very good amendment. So do I have a seconder for James's proposal? Lisa, seconding that. All those in favour? Thank you very much. So let's move on now to 263302 to receive an update on extra land for cemetery.
I'm sorry, I haven't got one. I was hoping it was going to be in. I have spoken to the guy at David Wilson Homes. He said that he's got somebody who's dealing with this. They were going to give us an update, but they haven't. So I will chase it. But at least they didn't come back and say, "Don't know what you're talking about." So, which is what I was worried about.
I think basically that will come back
Yeah.
once we've got a bit more flesh on those bones. Thank you for that update.
I will chase it. I'll keep chasing it.
To 2636, the State Management Committee. The first thing we want to do is receive the minutes of that meeting held on the 2nd of June. James, you chaired that meeting. Any questions to James? Anything you'd like to say?
I think I'd like to say I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions to James? No, in which case they have been received. Thank you very much. Martin Committee Communications Working Party again to receive a verbal update on the meeting held on the 16th of June. Here, verbal
Yeah,
update.
a verbal update, you're getting a verbal update because the meeting was held about 2.5 hours ago, so we haven't had a chance to put the meetings. The minutes will be available for the next meeting, but just very quickly on a couple of points. Both Rebecca and Emma have been working very hard, and we've managed to work very closely with an organisation called Cuttlefish, which are redoing the Love Handle website. We looked at some of the first iterations of it today. There's some suggestions going back with some further design requirements and some ideas to come forward. We have a deadline to hope to be able to give you full recommendations of the marketing committee at the next full council meeting. We're hoping that is the case. It may slip, but we're hoping that will be the case. So you can see what we're looking at, what we've recommended for acceptance for that. And a lot of the recommendations coming out of the MBA study, etc., has all been taken into that. So it's very exciting. It looks very nice at the moment. Anybody wants to have a look at the initial recommendations, just let us know. Sure. Secondly is Quibbles, our social media agency. They've been on board for 16 days now. They started on the 1st of June. And I've got to say, I'm highly impressed so far. They have also given us a nice activity report. Again, everybody wants to have a look at that. Everybody has loads of papers. I don't want to flood everyone with paperwork, but if you want to have a look at that, let me know. We can send it to you and have a look at that as well. But I'm very impressed with what they're doing. They attended the annual town meeting. They interviewed Max. They interviewed the MP. They interviewed the M&T councillor, and they're doing a lot of stuff already. And we have some pictures of some of the stuff they've already put out on Love Handle's Facebook website and on the council's website. So we're getting that whole strategy together. You know, this is not going to happen overnight. There's a steady but secure process moving forward. I think that's about it. But there's more real detail coming out in the minutes. If anybody's got any further questions, we can go from there. But space of time.
Thank you very much for that verbal report. We'll obviously have formal minutes at a future meeting.
Next one. Yes.
But this is an update literally from a meeting that happened only a few hours ago. Any questions to Ian? No, in which case, thank you very much, Ian. In which case, then we can move on to correspondence. That's 2636, where there is nothing to report. So I'm now going to go into any other relevant matters to report only 2637. Before I do that, you will have noticed that Councillor Clark, who can't be here this evening, has emailed a report on progress from the conversations we've been having about EV chargers. I just want to note that's not here for discussion. It is only a report only. I'm quite sure that he just wanted them effectively, because he couldn't be here tonight to make a verbal report, he just wanted to give councillors an opportunity to see what has happened, and obviously that will then come back to a future meeting in a more formal way. So with explanation, I'm now going to go around the table. Lisa.
One item that I was going to raise today, was around the process through which we do the annual community awards. Sometimes the next meeting I put together a suggestion of how we might move that forward for the next.
Okay,
Can I really just about to say
yes,
something?
I can come back to it, yes.
I've actually sent to everybody the chat report really, of stuff that's gone on in the last year, just so, especially for the newbies, that got a bit more information about it. So if you need any more info, I see Mark's on it, like respond. But if anybody wants any further info, then
Thank you for drawing attention to that. Mark, you, John, James, and nothing from me either. In which case then, I don't know if I now formally close the meeting.
If you just want to read it, we'll need to take a vote.
Yes, so,
John wants you to.
Nobody else can't because she's going to the business.
oh, sorry.
I have no business. I have no business.
Special process.
Sorry, I was going ahead of myself. So, essentially what we now need to do is to, I'm going to propose that we go into a in-camera session to discuss a couple of the remaining items on the agenda. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, James. All those in favour? Thank you very much. In which case then I formally close the open part of the meeting and we now go on